You ever notice how the brightest people in the room sometimes get passed over for promotion? Meanwhile, someone half as talented moves up the corporate ladder like it's nothing. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if I told you that working hard isn't enough? That being the best at what you do might actually be holding you back. Sounds crazy, right? But stick with me. Because what happened to one man in Detroit is about to flip everything you thought you knew about success. There was this guy named Marcus who worked at an automotive parts factory just outside Detroit. Fresh out of trade school, eager to prove himself. His supervisor was this old-timer, Robert, who'd been with the company for 35 years. Robert pulled Marcus aside one day during lunch break and said something that would shape the next decade of his life. "Kid, you want to survive here? Keep your head down, don't run your mouth, and make yourself so good at everything that they can't imagine this place without you. Become irreplaceable." Marcus took those words like gospel. Every single day, he showed up early, stayed late, mastered every machine on that floor. While other guys took smoke breaks and chatted by the vending machines, Marcus was learning, perfecting, becoming the guy who could fix anything, operate anything, solve any problem that came up. 10 years went by like that. Robert retired with a gold watch and a decent pension. Marcus took over his position as lead technician. He kept his mentor's philosophy alive, working with laser focus, staying quiet, making himself the most skilled person in that entire facility. Nobody could touch his level of expertise. He knew it, management knew it. But something wasn't adding up. One afternoon, Marcus drove out to Robert's house in the suburbs. The old man was in his garage, tinkering with a classic Mustang. He looked up and saw Marcus leaning against the doorframe, looking defeated. "What's eating you?" Robert asked, wiping grease off his hands. Marcus let out a long breath. "I did everything you told me, everything. I'm the best technician in that factory by a mile. I can operate machines those other guys wouldn't even know how to turn on. But you know what? 3 people got promoted last month. 3, and not one of them has half my skills. I'm still making basically the same money I made when I was your assistant. What am I doing wrong?" Robert studied him for a moment, then asked, "You really think you're that important to the factory?" Marcus didn't hesitate. "I know I am," the old man nodded slowly, thinking. "All right then, here's what you're gonna do. Tomorrow call in sick. Take the day off. You've earned it. Trust me on this." Marcus was confused but figured his mentor knew something he didn't. The next morning, he called the plant manager and said he had the flu. Stayed home, watched some TV, tried to relax even though it felt weird not being at work. When he came back the following day, his manager, Jennifer, called him into her office before he even reached the floor. "Marcus, we had a nightmare yesterday. That CNC machine went down. Nobody could get it running. The quality control issue on line 3 took us 6 hours to figure out what you would have spotted in 20 minutes. I don't know what we'd do without you." Right there, she promoted him to senior technician with a 15% raise and told him they were going to start training someone as his backup because they couldn't afford to have him absent again. Marcus walked out of that office feeling like he'd cracked the code. His mentor was a genius. This was the real secret. Make them realize what they'd lose without you. So Marcus started using this strategy. Whenever he felt undervalued or overlooked, he'd take a day off. And like clockwork, the next day would bring appreciation, sometimes even bonuses or better assignments. This went on for about 8 months. He felt like he was finally getting the recognition he deserved. Until one Tuesday morning when he showed up at the factory gate and his access badge wouldn't work. The security guard looked uncomfortable. "Marcus, you're gonna need to talk to HR." His stomach dropped. He went to the HR office where they had his final paycheck waiting and a termination letter. They'd hired 2 new technicians over the past month, trained them up, and decided they no longer needed someone who was unreliable and frequently absent. Marcus felt like the ground had disappeared beneath his feet. He drove straight to Robert's house, barely keeping it together. "What happened?" he demanded. I did exactly what you told me. I made them see my value, and they fired me. The old man looked sad, almost guilty. No, Marcus. You learned half the lesson. Only half. Marcus was furious now. Half? What are you talking about? Robert sat down on his workbench and said quietly, I told you that when a light is always on, people don't notice it. They take it for granted. But when it suddenly goes out, everyone realizes how much they needed it. That part you understood. But you were so excited to use that knowledge, you never waited to hear the rest. Marcus's anger turned to confusion. The rest? The old man met his eyes. If a light keeps flickering on and off, keeps going out again and again, eventually people get tired of it. They replace it with a bulb they can actually count on. Because who wants to live with a light they can't trust? The words hit Marcus like a freight train. He'd made himself indispensable, then made himself unreliable. He'd proven his value, then proven he couldn't be counted on. He'd played a game without understanding all the rules. Robert continued, Think about the people in your life, Marcus. Your family, your friends, the ones who are always there. You probably don't think about them much, do you? They're just there, like furniture. But if one day they weren't, if your mom stopped answering the phone or your best friend moved away without telling you, then you'd realize what you had. That's human nature. We don't value what's constant until it's gone. But here's the thing. You can't use that as a strategy. You can't disappear just to make people miss you. That's manipulation, and eventually, they'll see through it. Marcus sat down, the weight of it all crashing over him. So what was I supposed to do? The old man smiled sadly. You were supposed to do great work. Let people see it without making them panic. Communicate your value without weaponizing your absence. Be reliable and excellent, not one or the other. Balance, Marcus. That's the part I should have taught you first. See, that's the thing about life. We spend so much time trying to prove ourselves, trying to make people see our worth, that we forget the most important part. Consistency, reliability, being there when it matters. You can be the most talented person in the room, but if people can't count on you, your talent doesn't mean much. And on the flip side, you can be the most reliable person in the world. But if nobody knows what you bring to the table, you'll get passed over every time. It's not about being irreplaceable. Nothing's truly irreplaceable. It's about being valuable and dependable at the same time. It's about doing excellent work without making people afraid of what happens when you're not around. That's the balance. That's what actually gets you ahead. Don't wait for people to realize what they'll miss. Show them every day why they're lucky to have you. And don't take for granted the people who show up for you either. Your family, your friends, the ones who are always in your corner. Tell them they matter. Show them you notice. Because one day, if you don't, you might find out what it's like when the light finally stays off for good.